What's up, good movie lovers? We've just seen Prometheus.
Spoiler, Aliens.
In IMAX.
It's an Aliens prequel. Spoiler, if you didn't realize that.
Well, we're going to get into the discussion
sucks.
there.
That's the other spoiler. It sucks.
Very passionate man. He's got some strong opinions. So
I'm sorry. Aliens, two of the best sci-fi movies ever made.
And no one can make a good movie after that.
No, not possible.
In general, what would you recommend for someone who wants to see this movie? Should they see it in the theater?
Here's the problem. Again, it falls into this kind of conundrum we have with modern movie making where the effects, the IMAX, the 3D, it's top-notch. It's amazing. It's
definitely.
Some of the best that I've seen ever. Like
this 3D is as good as Avatar's quality.
Easily. And you're in this amazing futuristic sci-fi world. This alien world looks perfect.
You definitely feel like you can just reach out and touch the characters.
Totally.
And all the effects, amazing, flawless, imagination.
Everything.
Really great.
Everything.
But story...
not so much.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get into that. So,
you know, Alien was influenced by some B movies from the 60s.
As was this very much
and
so.
This seems like it kind of is a B movie, so... Really disappointing.
But again, with top-notch special effects.
With amazing special effects.
So I would say if you can, get IMAX tickets. If you want to get if you like to smoke and want to get blazed.
Not that we encourage that. Not that there's encouragement
whatsoever. But it would be not the worst way to spend an evening, I think.
It is a beautiful visual experience. Yeah. The sound is great.
Great sound. Great sound.
But again, if we're looking for story and character...
Yeah, not so much.
IMAX you're recommending?
Definitely
for the visuals?
For the visuals, and then, see it on the big screen, because it's awesome, but if you're just going to go to a regular big screen, it's just a matinee.
A lot of disappointment. I want a lot of questions answered, which didn't happen in this movie. All they gave us was more cinematic blue balls. I'm going to go actually get an ice pack and ice because... where would cinematic blue balls be located? I guess in here somewhere.
I'm going to go watch the original Alien, rub one out to compensate.
If you are curious and you want to see some great 3D and just visual imagination, cool sci-fi effects.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely matinee worthy, or IMAX experience was pretty spectacular, even though it did cost $20. All right, so let's have a seat, maybe grab a drink.
Yeah, settle in and let's
talk about this for an intense amount of time. Spoiler-filled review coming up. If you want to see it, stop the review now and then come back afterwards.
Alien versus RoboCop. That's the big spoiler, actually. RoboCop comes in at the end.
I review movie previews. So we are doing a little bit of a midnight snack and a movie review instead of a full dinner.
1:30 a.m. snack and a movie review.
1:30. We risked our lives to see this movie today. Jonas, what happened on the way?
We're walking down. We're going to Navy Pier over in Chicago. We're in Chicago, Illinois doing this. And the Navy Pier is where the big IMAX theater is. And it's weird because it's right in Streeterville. It's a very posh, very expensive neighborhood to live in. It's right off Michigan Avenue, right downtown. But this little area by Navy Pier, which is tourist central, is also like hoodlum central. And then
it could be on the weekends.
It could be on the weekends especially. So it's like these teenagers end up over hanging out down here with no supervision and nothing to do but cause trouble.
A group of 30 teenagers.
They were running down the street and they run over this kid.
Yeah.
Like stomped him. And it wasn't. At first, it looked like the kid was with them.
It seemed like he was with the group. But then they were beating each other up?
Yeah, I guess they were all beating each other up, and it was like there was like literally 30 of these kids, and it was like the Warriors out there. So,
it was the total remake.
We were just talking about this because we saw a fight starting down the street at the other movie theater.
And I think it was that same group. They were I think they were making their way down the street because we stopped into the store to get water.
No, because they were coming from Navy Pier, and we saw them. There was two separate
outbreak. Outbreak of violence.
Yes, pretty much.
Road Warrior, post-apocalyptic.
So again, here's the problem, which is in the post-apocalypse. The movie reviewers we're the first to go. Like the nerds, pop culture. We're done. We're toast. Come on, in Thunderdome, there's
in the Thunderdome.
There's no self-actualization.
There's no room for self-actualization
in the Thunderdome.
Look
no
up
room for
Maslow's
philosophy.
Of needs.
Yeah, and people that talk about Maslow are the first ones to go. So
while we still can self-actualize,
and
let's talk about Prometheus.
And
Going in, what were your expectations?
So I tried to not see as much of the preliminary stuff as much going in because I wanted to go
watch my 42-minute preview review
as much as I wanted to. I started to, and I was like, you know what? I gotta keep the virgin eyes. I gotta keep going in pure and clean.
You kind of knew it was going to be an alien-related sort of movie,
right? Yes, that much is obvious.
So what do you go in and what do you want from it? What do you want from this movie?
I wanted really scary, like the original Alien was, which the preview was freaky as all hell. Like
really good trailer.
Really great. One of the best trailers in recent memory, definitely.
Right.
The original Alien and Aliens have a really great undertone about kind of how when corporations are running things and how
that was one of the things, because in the 70s, when corporations really started to get huge and multi-conglomerate network, that kind of message, Alien, I mean, it didn't really address it, but it just had
it was the background. It was very much, and Aliens was a little bit more...
Even, it was like her character, and it's really about how humanity is expendable.
Right, individuals are expendable.
Profit versus people.
Exactly. And so I was expecting them to touch on that, definitely, which they did. Again, the whole thing, because I knew it was run by, again, the corporation is what sends it out
Peter
there.
Whalen, the main guy.
Exactly. And then characters that I cared about.
Right.
Like, I cared about Yaphet Kotto. I cared about, Lance Henriksen and Michael Biehn and, all those guys. That's like, the only one I cared about here was Stringer Bell. Stringer, the guy from The Wire.
The Wire guy.
Who was great. He was great.
So, now I think for me going in, having done all the research on it, the last trailer they released for this really gave the structure of the movie away pretty much.
Yeah.
There were some definitely, the preview review didn't exactly nail the prediction of the story.
Right.
But I mean, the preview itself was pretty obvious. Like, here's kind of how it's going to go. I mean, it gave the ending away where Stringer Bell's going to crash the ship into the alien ship and it's going to crash.
Yeah.
I mean, you know where it's going.
Right.
I really wanted this to be a prequel that answers the big questions of Alien. When you think prequel, what does a prequel mean for you?
A prequel to me, I guess, would be the story before the original story. There you go.
My biggest fear going in was that they were going to milk us. Like Eazy-E, the Dope Man song, the first hit is free. And then once you're hooked, you're going to keep going back.
Right.
And you could just feel this was going to be, okay, we're going to, since we can't go to the future of the Alien franchise anymore.
Because that's done.
Because it's done and we ruined it.
We ruined it, right.
Let's start a new prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And we're going to just give you, like, the smallest bits of answers and ask 10 questions for every answer, so that you're going to have to go back for the sequel.
Right. That's fine. I didn't necessarily want the things answered. I didn't, because there is no...
I wanted everything answered.
Did you? I guess there is a mystery to, like, where the alien... Who's in the spaceship? Where'd that alien come from? This is supposed to...
Yeah.
So, yes, there's that.
In doing the research, like, okay, the Alien DVD commentary track, Ridley Scott in 1999 says he wants to do an Alien 5 or 6 where he goes to the planet of the guys who made the aliens.
Okay.
And we find out what that society was about. So he wanted to do the story of those guys.
Okay.
No humans even.
Huh.
Damon Lindelof comes in from Lost.
Right.
And Cowboys and Aliens, not a good resume lately.
Yeah.
And he says, if it ends at that point where John Hurt gets the face hugger, that's not interesting. So, and he wants to avoid the tropes of the Alien series. Which, if you look at this movie, it was every trope.
Every trope.
It was every trope and structure of the Alien series.
Yeah.
If they really had story, guts, and cinematic balls, they should have had the answer to that room where John Hurt finds all the eggs.
Thanks.
Have it happen in the middle of the movie.
Oh.
Really shock us.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, now what's the story going to be?
Yeah.
Don't just wait for the end. That's the most frustrating thing. It's not movies that are complete films anymore. Cinema, the theater is becoming what, back when we were growing up, the ABC Movie of the Week miniseries.
Oh.
Cinema is becoming a miniseries, where now it's like, okay, we're going to have big screen TV shows.
Well, it's interesting because we talked about how humanoid alien, Prometheus alien, he gives birth to the fully grown H.R. Geiger alien.
Right.
And it was very much like the little set-aside scene from the Avengers, where we got the Sam Jackson or the Thor hammer or like whatever it was. It was like that, is what it reminded me of.
We have to get the obligatory, here's what all the movies are doing now.
Right, here's the sequel. Here's your little teaser for the sequel.
Instead of doing something original that's organic to the story. You're doing something that's cliche.
Again, so bizarre how they marketed it, because they did not mention Alien at all in the marketing.
They avoided, but yet if you watch some behind the scenes, like little vignette things, and it'd be like 30 years in the making.
Right.
It would say from the director of Alien, but it wouldn't mention it. And Ridley Scott says, I'm making another science fiction film. Yeah. But he doesn't say I'm making another Alien film.
Which is it's so strange, because, yes, they killed the Alien, but the Alien franchise sucks now. By the way, how interesting is it that if you really go back and watch the original Alien vs. Predators, the whole Mayan temple thing, a lot of similarities between that and this.
That's totally true. Is that the first AVP or AVP?
That's the first AVP.
Okay. The quick breakdown of the story here is basically these archaeologists discover a series of cave paintings
Right.
or whatever that all tie together
Yeah.
and basically indicate that there's an alien race that made us. Here's the coordinates for the place, and now there's an expedition launched to go find it and discover who these
Like any episode of Alien Architects or whatever that
the
TV
Ancient
show
Aliens
is.
on History
Ancient Aliens on
Channel,
History Channel, exactly.
X-Files.
Right.
I saw online someone compared it to Star Trek V, which I could totally see.
Right.
Spock's brother Sybok looking for God. They're looking for God on a planet, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. I forgot to mention Stargate in the preview review. So the idea has been around forever. They go there, and at that point, it's the exact same structure of Alien. Here's something we're going to explore. Now we discover these, not necessarily egg things, but just pods, and then they get
here's where
infected.
it
They go
gets-
back to the ship, and then it's the exact same thing, down to the escape pod, where the female has to fight the final alien at the very end.
Right, right. But that's also, unfortunately, gets absolutely just because these scientists are all from the Indiana Jones School of Archaeology, which is, oh, what does this do? Let me, what does this button do? Let me open this door and let's go. Oh, hi, crazy alien creature. No, don't be scared. I'm your friend. Let me,
Yeah.
Seriously, these space super biologists are going to reach out and try to play with the crazy, disgusting swamp thing?
If we're talking about mashing up cinema,
Like,
this
really?
is
Really?
the Earth of Idiocracy.
It really is.
You know, that launched the
Yes,
expedition.
exactly. And in fact, you start rooting for David because he's the only with half a brain on the whole damn ship.
Yeah, he's an interesting character.
Yeah, he is.
And you know, when you think about it, David should have been really the main character because he's someone who is created by someone, and he knows his creators, and we're looking for our creators. So he could be a mirror of the journey that we're taking.
Well, and they do try to do those parallels throughout. There's that really good conversation between the annoying scientist guy who's
He was
drunk at the
so
pool
annoying.
table. So annoying. He's pissing and moaning because they're not still alive. Yeah, we found aliens. We found but yeah, they're dead. It's millions of years later. You expected them to still be alive? Why exactly? And
his character motivation, it was like, okay, we're just going to make him like a very entitled, cocky kind of a scientist.
yeah.
Like, aren't scientists supposed to be like more philosophic and wondering about things? He's kind of like a spoiled
douche.
kid. Yeah,
he's a
douchebag.
Again, this is a nitpicky sci-fi thing, but like they take off their helmets because the oxygen level's fine. What about microbes and viruses and all that? Like literally, we don't know where you got the virus from.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I mean, when you all had your helmets off in the foreign planet's atmosphere?
I mean, seriously, it was literally like, okay, the ship cost $1 trillion. The whole expedition, they say, is $1 trillion.
Right.
And you get the
Which is
most
nothing, by the way.
unprofessional crew. The
Yeah.
most unprofessional crew in history.
Possible.
Like, you wouldn't go, like, train people for, like, years. Or, like, get the most, like, they will obey orders no matter what. No, you get the, like, super cliche, the crew that doesn't get along, and the rough and gruff captain. Again, Alien was kind of truckers in space.
Right.
But, like, so they try to keep that going.
Yeah, the one guy who was like the hired muscle, but turns out is a geologist.
Yeah.
And then
He's like a super. He turns
yeah,
out to
and the biologist who's just, you're dealing with alien life forms, like, no, hey baby, come here. He's like talking like a little kitty cat.
The logic here is very B-movie-ish.
Very B-movie-ish. Or like they're lost, so instead of doing the basic thing you do as like they teach you as a Boy Scout, which is stay put, don't wander around, like let people find you.
Well, and they have the most advanced technology that's currently mapping the ship, so why don't you wait till it's mapped and then just radio back to the wire
Here's
and
where I
have
am.
them be like, hey, tell us how to get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. But then instead, like, let's go hide out in the room with the giant, scary godhead and the crazy containers everywhere, you know, and the ooze.
Yeah.
let's go sit
and then
there
the
and wait for
minute
that.
an alien snake comes up. No,
Try to
I'm
pet
gonna
it.
try to pet
I'm gonna
it.
try to pet it. And then, oh, the other thing is, which was this is a total glitch. Don't all the helmets have cameras on them?
Yes.
So how do they not know where they are? How did they not see the whole alien attack? How did
Right.
that's all just plot hole, plot hole, plot hole.
Right. I was a huge Damon Lindelof fan because I think
Lost,
Lost
yeah.
was a really well-written show, but again, it lost its focus towards the end.
Yeah.
It set up so many mysteries that it didn't know how to answer because it just wanted to keep people tuning in week after week.
Yeah.
In the end, I think there was some kind of quote where like the writers of the show were like, "Oh, we don't do endings. It was about the journey or whatever."
Bullshit.
That only goes so far. If you're going to do a movie, you got to have some kind of satisfactory ending. And there's not an excuse of everything will be answered in the sequel is not a good enough excuse. I'm sorry. I'm tired of that. I don't want to wait for sequels. If you really have the creativity and imagination, give us a lot here and then go think up some more for the next one.
Problem is, if it's all about the journey sucked because the journey was all B-movie and all.
And it was cliche.
It was total cliche. Every step along the way was cliche. What they tried to put together didn't make any sense. David infects the douchey scientist with the virus.
Because Peter Whalen told him to.
Right. I guess he just hoped that he would have sex with the other scientist or whatever. But then when they're trying to get back on the ship, and Charlize Theron, they get there like, whatever, this is all, we gotta go find the aliens, and like, this is, this is all crap because you found some pictures in a cave. When is this thing gonna get done mapping the cave? Oh, you mean the giant, like what's being revealed to be a huge multi-level alien structure?
Yeah.
Oh, was this isn't done yet?
I guess you could say that she's kind of playing it as a trillionaire's rich kid. She's, I guess, Peter Whalen's daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, like, oh, that's a surprise reveal kind of thing. Is she playing it as some annoyed kid who has to go on daddy's vacation to find immortality?
It's aliens, life forms, the origin of life on Earth. How is that not? I don't care. Alicia Silverstone Clueless, I think, would be blown away by that.
Yeah, everybody's a douchebag in here. The engineers are douchebags.
Yeah.
He wakes up, the first thing he does is kill everybody.
Yeah.
One of the things here that this movie constantly did, the minute there's going to be any answers to questions, it throws you a 180. The minute...
But not in a good, plot twist way.
Well, but David can communicate with this guy. He knows the language.
Yeah.
They wake up the engineer. So why
Who's
not
in the Bane outfit, by the way.
Yeah, that was a hilarious comment. He's sleeping as Bane. I'm telling you, movies are just going to start crossing over. Like,
I mean, why is it? Seriously, he's wearing the Bane mask.
Wearing the Bane mask.
I totally expected when David woke him up to be I am Gotham's reckoning. That's what I was totally waiting for.
If when he was playing with the Dash, there was a hologram of Batman. So
there you go.
He's actually going to Gotham. That's where the ship was
that's
headed.
the crossover.
But why not have a moment where the engineer actually talks to David and answers some questions?
Right, but no, he just rips his head off.
So, yeah, because the writers don't want to reveal any answers, or they haven't thought it through. It would have been great if the engineer would have been thought through as a character instead of a dumb bad guy.
Yeah. A plot mechanism, or just a brainless smash bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue, he looks at it as like a human scientist would look at like a lab rat or something. It's just like this creation that got out of control. But that's an excuse.
And again, they share our DNA, but they're giants. But and so
there's a 100% match for our DNA.
But they hate us for some reason, which maybe that's what the sequel will explain. But that's a good point about how when they said this is just a military station, this isn't where they actually live.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so it's a military station that where everything went to but there's no contact. Like we haven't heard of these guys in like a couple of thousand years.
Right.
What's going on with Operation Up Earth? Like,
it's like if the U.S. government was like, Area 51's been quiet for like 2 years. We're not going to go check it out.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for you.
Remember that whole plan we had to devote an entire planet to creating huge biological weapons to wipe out that other planet we created life on? Well, whatever. I don't know. We're busy. We got busy with other stuff. We got too many things.
You saw the hologram map. We're all over the universe.
Yeah, exactly. We got stuff going. We got things to do.
This is a side project.
Yeah.
No, they'll explain it because those guys were rogue scientists whose research was banned on the home planet, and they found this faraway place that nobody knew about, and then they decided to, on their own, do the research.
But then why was the star map that we were given to go to that place?
Yeah, why was the star...
Why was... Because obviously those
for
were the
other
coordinates.
engineers who would come later?
Yeah.
But why were humans writing about it? Why did they talk to the primitive humans who couldn't even understand them, and then kill the ones that could understand them later? There was a moment here in the beginning, they land, right?
Yeah.
The daylight's going away in 6 hours.
Right.
Normally in a script, that would be the time for the characters to now, not discuss, but like you explore some of the thematic moments. But no.
I want to open my Christmas present.
I want to open the Christmas present. And then as soon as all that happens, what's the next thing? Storm time.
Right.
So it's like all these set pieces just distract from the fact that there's no answers here. There's no mythology that's thought through.
Exactly. There's no meat to the mythology, which is a shame.
Mythology. It's just a bunch of set pieces that we've seen in different forms.
Yes.
Let's just say this is beautiful.
Yeah, again, going back, it is a gorgeous movie to look at. It does create, the 3D is insane. It creates an amazing escape to sit in for a couple hours. The scene where she is in the surgery pod and she has the alien thing removed from her is freaky as all hell. That's up.
It's a really cool idea.
But then it speaks to the whole point of the movie that it's never mentioned again, like except for David makes a joke about it. It's like a real kind of a mean joke about it to her. It's just, okay, that's alien, that happened, and the alien's off in the pod now, and everyone else doing the other thing with Whalen.
You're skipping over the moments where once something happens, it should affect characters.
Where people take stock of it and look at what the hell just happened.
What does this mean?
They're just being yanked from one thing to the next.
Like in Aliens, when Burke tries to kill Ripley and Newt or have them impregnated in the med lab,
Right.
the next scene is them all sitting around. What are we going to do with Burke now?
Right.
What just happened affected them, and now they're dealing with it. But no, here's like everyone's doing their own thing, and what's the next set piece? There's no narrative flow.
And my biggest complaint always is when people don't behave like rational, intelligent human beings.
Yes.
They behave like stupid stock B-movie characters. We talk about understanding the reality of the fiction. Like, I can buy into, you're creating a science fiction world. You're creating this amazing scape with aliens and all. Fine, beautiful. I want to hang out here for 2 hours. But I need to hang out here with people that I believe are actually in it. Not they're just acting out squat points.
Right. There's even that line where David touches the X-Files ooze.
Right.
And he looks at it and he says, big things have small
Right.
beginnings.
Who's he saying that to?
Yeah, and there's no motivation.
Motivation for him to say that.
It's just like a cool trailer clip.
Yeah, that's
like this is a very cool idea.
That is a cool trailer clip, and I'm like, okay, well, that exists completely in isolation, not connected to anything,
Yeah.
but to exist as a trailer clip.
Right. It's just a catchphrase. That's
Yeah,
it.
it is a catchphrase to exist as a catchphrase.
Yeah.
Which is insulting. It takes away also from the impact of the statement. David is the most interesting character, but the most confounding also, because he's, unlike the other ones, who are basic B-movie characters with very stupid motivations.
Right.
Or he's a complicated character. One of the rules of the Alienverse is do never trust. Androids are bad. Except for Winona Ryder. Let them look like Winona Ryder. And Lance, we talked about, was working behind the scenes that we learned in Alien 3.
He might have left when Ripley was rescuing Newt to go get like a sample. I
Right.
guess. Like
So
he
yeah,
still had to obey orders or something.
don't trust androids because they don't have normal human motivation. They don't. They answer to a different thing with Hal. 2001, he was acting out his programming. You know, they have a different motivation than humans do, and they have different senses of responsibility. And it was very clear with him that he considered himself better than people to a certain extent. He had a bitterness to them. In that conversation with the douche scientist at the pool table,
when he gave him the drink that was infected, he was like,
it was very personal.
He was glad to infect him.
It was like he actually has emotional motivations.
Right.
I would have liked them to be just a little fleshed out better. It's a little confusing how that plays in with his relationship with his quote-unquote father, what he wants to fulfill his destiny as.
Yes.
He wanted the aliens to get to Earth, it seemed like, and destroy the population.
He does that line later where he's like, don't we all want to kill our parents?
Right.
It's like he wanted the engineer guy to kill Peter Wade.
Yeah. Clearly vastly superior life forms, do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Like, you guys suck, and these guys are 5 people I can talk to.
Yeah. And when Charlize Theron wants him to keep the camera on, he turns it off, and then she's like, he turned the camera off.
Right.
Why did he do that? Why did he only want to keep this for himself?
Right. He's got the most nuance to him, but it's not quite explained well enough, which is disappointing, because he, like Hal, could have been the most interesting character.
Yeah.
Like Dave Bauman, he's not an interesting character.
No,
like
not
those
at all.
astronauts are very generic for a reason.
Definitely generic, yeah.
Hal's the most interesting character on that ship. And I think David was the most interesting character here by far.
Yeah, and he should have been even more.
The female scientist was just kind of stock girl in trouble. And
right.
Like,
I mean, the captain was probably the second most interesting.
He was.
Because he was keeping it real.
Yeah, he was
like...
We were joking, like, well, the few times that the black guy in the science fiction movie, A, doesn't die first, and B, is the only one, like, to listen, you should listen to.
And he does something heroic.
He's the hero of the damn thing.
Absolutely.
Although Yaphet Kotto didn't die first. He was one of the later ons to die, but still.
Yeah, he died towards the end.
He died towards the end. Well, that's weird, though. At the end, we're asked to be emotionally invested in those 2 comic relief characters that their only dialogue the entire movie was that running joke about them betting on the expedition, but then, like, we will sacrifice our lives, Captain. Yeah. And like, it's supposed to be this noble thing.
You owe me money in the next flight or whatever.
Yeah, but it's like, we don't care about you.
If this was going to be a non-alien movie, I call this a fauxquel. It wants to be a prequel, but it doesn't want to be a prequel.
Right.
Why not just tell a story about a ancient alien's journey to discover where we came from, but not have it related to the alien universe?
Because you can't sell that.
But
that's weird. They were trying to sell it that way, which is why marketing is so confusing to me.
This movie's like David's motivation.
It wants to have, you want to have it both ways and neither. It's so I guess they want to set up the franchise for the sequel, prequel.
Right. It's like if you're going to do a prequel, then go all out, and go for it.
I don't even mind a folkquel, but if it's smart and stands alone as its own idea,
right?
Like, that's fine. It can be a prequel, great. It can be a folkquel, great. But make it an interesting movie on its own accord. Either way.
The minute, like, the scientists started acting stupid, we just turned to each other and we're like, oh boy. And, like, people were kind of snickering. There was some, really? Like, this guy's going to reach out to the snake. I just wish the characters would have been thought through. My second biggest fear was that, because Ridley Scott was like, it's got big ideas. It's really epic. But no one in any of the interviews was character.
They got big special effects,
Yeah.
big ideas.
Right.
Well, yeah, okay, we're created by aliens that were actually our DNA and they want to kill us. I guess that qualifies as a big idea.
Right.
It's weird because they have different layers of, they've got the Prometheus myth going on one hand, but they also have various Christ references, Jesus stuff.
Yeah, they still reference Jesus in the year 2093.
Oh, not just that, but there's also a very weird shot of David washing his father's feet.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which that's a total Christ reference.
That's a really good
That's
catch.
what I mean. That is
Absolutely.
that is the only reference I'm aware of in storytelling of a character washing another character. That's Jesus. Jesus washing the feet. So
that's really important.
So it's David Jesus, but then who's
Jesus was the one who washed the feet.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But then who's God?
Yeah.
And that's when it all gets muddled again.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, they kind of like have these ideas, but they don't really follow through on
like
any.
just the time was taken. It could have been a really
Amazing,
dense
epic
movie. In the first Alien, there really wasn't a character that you latch onto so much. Ripley ends up being the character towards the end.
Like almost by default. But,
Yeah,
but they're all interesting. They're all people.
Yeah.
They're all people. I feel.
And it's very quiet, and it just unfolds.
It's very slow and much slower pace. I mean, that was the 70s.
It was very like 2001 influence, where it's kind of like, here's how space travel would be.
Kind of boring.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And just people would be people, and they're like traveling around getting knickknacks, Hawaiian shirts, and all this.
Yeah.
And it's like there's still sexism, there's still all this going on, and it just so happens that this is how everyone is. I think here, also, if it's Earth in the year 2093, you have to now think of the story outside of the movie frame. So you have to develop the characters in reference to the culture that they're from. They should reflect the culture that they're from. And you don't really get that here, and that should inform them a little more.
Now you're asking for way too much.
Well, I know. I'm asking for like 1970s style screenwriting. You know, like
yeah, please,
the second golden age of Hollywood. The visuals, I love the 3D. I love the IMAX experience, and I love all the creative technology. One of my favorite parts of going to sci-fi films is what are they going to think of next? You know, what's the future going to be like?
Yeah.
And there was some really cool
stuff.
Visuals, you know.
Really cool ideas. And
the alien ship with like some recorded hologram thing, and we get to see what they were doing in the past.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, like he could see her dreams going on. Like the whole opening scene with David kind of tending ship
promising.
was really cool.
The first
really
15 minutes or so,
yeah,
you're like, okay,
this is awesome. I'm with this. This is cool.
Yeah. But they give you like the opening creation of humanity, which kind of doesn't make sense again, because the alien has to infect himself and sacrifice himself to infect the water supply so the organisms can grow and the DNA can change.
I guess.
I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we cut to, okay, they find the maps, and then we cut to the space.
It seemed like he was surprised by that. It seemed like he wasn't expecting that to happen.
It's like, oh, yeah, like they're like, oh, we don't know what this is going to do. And now, oh, okay, this is like some accidents. This is another symptom of what's going on, where the story is the last thing to focus on,
and the characters
get neglected.
The script. Thank you very much.
The reason we really fell in love with the Alien series was the character of Ripley in the second film, and the ingenuity of the design and the shocks of the first film. But now everything's so cliche that we don't really get anything too different.
Yeah, again, the only thing that worked as a horror element was that one scene. The other stuff was the stuff that was much cooler in the trailer. Yeah, the thing was crashing and all that was cool. A couple of things I just want to touch on real quick, just as an aside. I love how there's that really random scene, the reference to Stephen Stills. We have a theory about this. So it's this bizarre thing where well,
explain who Stephen Stills is.
For like probably 95% of our listening audience that's not going to even get the reference.
Crosby, Stills,
Nash and Young Crosby, Stills and Nash was a rock group from the 60s. They performed at Woodstock. They were very big in the late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
And Stephen Stills, he was in Buffalo Springfield with Neil Young, I believe. He had a solo career. His big hit as a solo artist was Love the One You're With. If you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. Randomly, there's that ridiculous scene with Charlize Theron and Stringer Bell when he's got the accordion. And it's like, oh, this is Stephen Stills' accordion. Like, it's like a relic. And like, okay. And then he makes the joke, they talked her into going to bed with him by the one funny line about, he asked her if you were a robot. Like, that was funny. Are you a robot? Kind of says, again, to note to the audience, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
The one you're with.
And then it's like in the credits, if you stay for the credits, and like there's they always do the song credits at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Big center screen is Love the One You're With, Stephen Stills. So the only thing that makes sense to me is like Stills and Scott are like poker buddies or something.
Yeah.
or like,
or Stills has some dirt on Scott.
yeah,
like,
or maybe it's just like they're like just college friends. I don't know. They go to school together, and they're like, it's like as a joke, like they got Stills in the movie.
like,
So,
you know, I'm gonna put your name in this thing, you know, just for the
not
hell
just
of it.
his name, but like a whole joke, a scene based around him, and like, why?
Yeah,
It's so
why?
random and weird. And yeah, that I like to understand. I like to know the reason behind that.
That's something that a
So-
DVD commentary needs to answer.
Yeah, totally.
Like, why is
I'm-
this in
I'm
there?
kinda wondering about that.
And definitely in the credits, it was very weird that it was so blatantly huge. And
Yeah, because again, you watch music. You know, anytime you watch a movie, the music credits,
Yeah.
they're all kind of just paragraph after paragraph. And this boom center, like apart from everything else.
Steven Stills and Ridley Scott.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
apparently
going on
tight.
there.
Apparently tight.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention offhand was just how, again, just the ridiculous cliches. Apparently, you know, you can't just shoot the guy from coming on the ship. You have to blow him up into flames. You have to flamethrow him
Well,
when they're trying to prevent him from coming back on the ship.
Again, more B-movie, illogic, frustrating logic. Oh, there's the infected guy outside. We can't see him. Lower the door. Just,
Right.
you know, why not? Let him on. No problem. And for some reason, when he gets infected, it makes him want to kill everybody. Like, he turns into zombie man.
Yeah, with the other, it's like, oh, you mean the guy that was dead? He's at the doorstep. Let's go see what's going
exactly.
on. Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Like-
And then he's standing there in like some crazy yoga pose, and then he just like stands up. Come on, man.
yeah, why was he zombified?
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen in any of the other Alien movies. That,
Right.
just because.
Just because.
Just 'cause.
And it's like, it's never explained.
Yeah.
They never capture anybody and try to analyze them. And every time there's a moment where answers could happen, the writers are like, we don't know the answer, so let's blow the alien head up. You know, like, oh,
Yeah, right.
Right? It's like, oh, we're analyzing the alien head. We're going to get answers. Oh, fine. That's a helmet. He's really a human head under there. Okay, that's fine. But now the human head, let's inject him with something that's going to make his head blow up.
makes him alive, and like that was because it's got again more brilliant scientism. It's just like there's like a virus. Let's make it crazy. Let's make it angry.
Turn up to 30, 40, 50. No, turn it down, turn it down. It's like,
yeah, let's just stimulate it.
yeah.
That's
I've
again.
never rolled my eyes at an alien movie, any alien movie in the saga even. I think for how frustrating Part 3 was,
Yeah.
at least it tried David Fincher. At least they tried to keep it one scene that created the next scene and it made sense.
Like cogent.
Yeah. And even Alien Resurrection, with their cloning and all that, for the most part it made sense. So I did not expect to be sitting here and like looking at you laughing and just rolling eyes and just everyone in the theater kind of snickering at like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It's
I just imagine they can invest so much money into the effects, but
Ridley Scott directed the hell out of this. It looked beautiful.
yeah, great
and
direction. I mean, great.
CGI.
But-
Sweeping opening was great, and I mean, I don't know
How
what's
much does
going
it
on with
cost
the story.
how much does it cost to hire a decent screenwriter? How much extra money does it cost to have a good script?
Yeah,
I don't get that part of it.
the next hit we got to pay for in 2 years.
Yeah.
Dope man. We got to, Again, I like the idea of her going where David's like, I know how to fly the ship.
Yeah.
So let's go on it. And she's like, no, I don't want to go to Earth. I want to go to their world.
Yeah.
Very cool idea. But if this movie had balls, that would have happened in about the 60 to 70 minute mark. And the last half of the movie would have been going to the planet. Get those engineers as characters
Well,
going, you know?
I disagree. That you could say that for the sequel prequel. This particular movie could have worked
Right.
if it had been more well thought out.
Yeah.
And if people behaved like actual
Right.
intelligent human beings.
I did think it was going to be the same ship from Alien. It actually wasn't, because we know the chest burster at the end is
Yeah.
not the guy in the chair. Okay, I guess it's one of the other ships. And I just wish it would have been a direct answer to the alien questions. It would have done it in half the time in the middle of the movie, and then started a new story, which we could do sequels to the prequel sequels for the future. I would have loved that, but this is too cynical, too frustrating, and for as beautiful as it is, the screenplay was the last on the priority list for this.
Very much so.
And I am angry at how frustrated I am by this movie. I wanted to love this.
Yeah.
Out of all the films, where would you rank this in the Alien quadrilogy? Now, five-ology, fintilogy, or whatever. Quintilogy. Where would you rank this?
I mean, I guess after Aliens, just because there's such a drop off.
So Alien 3, Alien Resurrection still
Still worse. Yeah.
Still worse.
But maybe because the effects are so good. Maybe I'm being jaundiced by the fact that I just walked away from this amazing spectacle.
Right.
Because that's what impressed me. I mean, it was gorgeous to look at. It was
It's the most beautiful out of all the
cinematic,
movies.
yes.
Visually, out of all the movies, it's the
them.
most visual.
Kills them, yeah.
Yeah, kills all the other movies.
Yeah.
But story, emotional impact. You know, in Aliens, you're cheering for Ripley to kill the queen.
Yeah.
When she says, "Get away from her, you bitch," it makes sense. It's not just a stupid
tagline.
cliche tagline. It actually has something to do with the characters.
I think I have to watch Aliens the 3 again. Because that was... Even much maligned, there were good things about it. So...
It did the best it could with the story it had.
Yeah.
Even though it killed everything you loved about the sequel. It was still a good enough movie in its here's what it is.
Yeah. Again, I was hoping for a resurrection of the franchise.
Right.
Was that the name of the fourth one?
Alien Resurrection.
Was that what's called Resurrection?
So, yeah.
I wasn't trying to make a pun. I was actually legitimately saying I wanted the franchise
because then there's
to
like
be...
Halloween. I know there's Halloween Resurrection. It's like every franchise gets a resurrection.
Yeah, at some point.
So I don't hate this movie. I'm just
disappointed. I'm so... Because lost potential.
Yeah, it's that kid. It's like the kid in your family, if you're the father, who's like, you're gonna be president someday. There's no excuse. Ridley Scott came back. Ridley Scott is like Peter Whalen, dude. He's coming towards the end of it.
Right.
He wants to do this in Blade Runner and go out where he came in.
Yeah, he's bringing back the franchise. He's like saying, it was like this promise to me was like Ridley Scott saying, you know what? You took my franchise. You it all to hell.
Right.
I'm going to come in. I'm going to set things straight.
Yes.
I'm going to set things up. We'll get the franchise in a whole new direction.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fix everything. Like I'm going to come in and make everything okay.
Right.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
He came and did a half-assed job.
Yeah.
It's like your father coming back to the family saying, "All right, I'm going to take care of everything, kids," and then I guess he buys you a Christmas tree and this everything, but then leaves again. That's a bad metaphor.
You woke up in the middle of the night and Daddy came in. He's like, "It was just a bad dream.
Everything's better." And he wakes up and
Prometheus is coming. Everything's gonna be okay. Forget about Alien 3. Forget about Resurrection.
Forget about AVP. I'm back. I'm gonna take care of everything.
Be able to sleep.
Yeah.
No. Because this is smothering me tonight. You know, this is gonna be
and then he takes
killing
off.
me. Again, Ridley Scott, his strength is not screenwriting. He's a director.
Right.
So, and again, for being in his 70s, this is an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's arguably at the top of his game in terms of visuals and how he's, bringing everything to life. I mean, it's impressive for him to embrace 3D and do all this.
Right.
And pull it off so well. But Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett, who would later go on to team up for Total Recall 10 years after Alien, Dan O'Bannon died. I guess Ron Shusett wasn't invited back to the party, and I do not buy the excuse every story's been told before. The writers of this film, they were interviewed for the whole thing of great stories, you don't know where they're going to go. That was some of the writers' quotes. Well, you know what? Every human being, we all have the same ending to the story. We know where it's going. But based on who we are and the decisions we make, that's what makes it interesting. In the preview review, I said, life is like the Saturday Night Live stage. Same four walls, but hundreds of different characters that make them interesting. Hans and Franz, Church Lady. It's all about the people. The people. You got to think through the people.
It's a really interesting metaphor.
Yeah. And I wish the screenwriters like the engineers. The screenwriters were like the engineers. They were just ripping people's heads off and not thinking things through.
No answers.
Yeah,
no answers. Just like smash, Hulk smash, engineer smash.
Android asking me questions after I woke up after 2,000 years.
Rip his head off.
Must kill.
Must rip his head off.
I need to eat something. Do we hold on the ratings that we set for the live action after our discussion
Again,
here?
it's this weird thing with movies where nowadays, where the reason to see it is for the spectacle. So if you're not seeing the spectacle, what's the point? So it's worth it. Go see in the IMAX.
IMAX 3D. It's worth it. It's a great visual experience.
Beautiful, but just don't go in expecting a lot story-wise.
Yes. And one test is always pay attention to the audience. Is there any laughing? Is there any crying?
Laughing? Is there
make sure it's not
laughing?
Inappropriate and badly timed laughing.
Yeah.
Are there scares? Are there jumps? What's the emotional reaction from the audience? If there isn't, it's probably not doing everything right because the characters are not connecting.
Yeah.
Prometheus Movie night to come when it comes out on DVD. We hold that it is, for the visuals, it's IMAX worthy 3D.
Yep.
And if you don't want to do that, I guess check it out as a matinee.
Again, just because you should see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
Because it is visually impressive.
Visually impressive.
Or I guess, or if you have like a good setup at home. I mean, it's a good Blu-ray. Watch it at home some night on a Blu-ray.
I like it as much as a rental, based on the story and the characters. but because of the visuals, because it's so beautiful, and there hasn't been really a sci-fi movie like a 2001 or something where you're really taken in.
Yeah.
And you feel that space travel like this one.
Yeah.
So, matinee worthy. With that, we get more of what we pay for.
That's
from
right.
StoryCorp. So we got to choose our movies wisely, even if in the end they keep giving us cinematic blue balls and treating us badly.
And disappointing. Like
So,
abused children, we keep coming back for more.
Yeah. Daddy will love us tomorrow. You know? They'll change.
This time will be different. This time.
Yeah.
This
Honey,
time.
I promise I've changed. Just take me back. Give me one more chance.
It really is. Every time I do this, like I get excited for a big tentpole project.
Yeah.
And occasionally, like Avengers, I get rewarded on
Right.
this Christmas morning.
Right.
But a lot of times, it's just I get
Yeah.
smacked in the back of the head over and over.
That is our mega review for Prometheus. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Let's have a conversation and try to find some movie truth. Until next time,
Long live
live
good
good
movies.
movies.